Welcome back, everybody. Hey, Kate.
Hey.
Hello. So we are back for another episode, and today we are going to talk about why people say that copywriting is hard to get into. I've heard it. Kate's heard it. If you are interested in getting into copywriting and you have talked to maybe friends, coworkers, random people you meet at cocktail parties when we used to be able to go to cocktail parties, maybe you have heard it from them. And we're going to break down today exactly why people say it's hard to get into. And then we're actually going to talk about what it's actually like to get into it and what the actual steps are and what it takes to be successful. So, Kate, I know that you have heard you've heard people say, oh, copywriting, it's hard to get into. Where have you heard it the most often?
That's a good question. I think the other question that kind of goes with it too is, oh, it's hard to get into, or how the heck did you get into it? Like how do you even start? Where do you begin? Where I hear it probably every time someone asks me what I do for a living. And once I explain what copywriting is, it's kind of a very close second question of what is that and how do you do that? Mm-hmm. And then if they know what it is, I think to your point, I've heard a lot of folks, even in the marketing space too, of like, okay, I got into marketing, but I didn't know, like, that just seemed really hard. And maybe I wasn't a good writer, or that kind of angle is what I get most.
Mm-hmm. I would say that I have heard it often, really mostly just in like random conversations. You know, when you meet someone, they say, oh, what do you do? And I say, oh, I'm a copywriter. And if they know what it is, often I will hear, oh, wow, you know, I was really interested in doing that, or, oh, I did that for a while. Oh, but, ooh, that's a really hard industry, or, ooh, it's hard to make money at that. Yeah. Which, as you and I both know, is not actually the case. It's a career, but it's not a unicorn career. It's certainly possible to make a very nice living. So whenever I hear that, my first question will always be, oh, you know, where did you learn to write copy? And almost to a person, whenever I say, oh, where did you learn to write copy? The answer is something like, oh, well, you know, I've always been a good writer. So I just decided to market myself as a copywriter, to say I was a copywriter, and to start telling people as a copywriter to get copywriting work. Yep. And the problem with that is that copywriting is a very specialized type of writing, and it is totally different from any other type of writing, and the objectives are totally different. The skills that you use are totally different. The markings that you look for in your writing are totally different from any other type of writing. And if you don't know how to do that, if you haven't gotten the training to write copy, and if you haven't then practiced and honed your skills, then no, you don't know how to write copy. And it's not really a surprise that you've had trouble getting clients because you don't know how to write copy. Or as you've said in previous episodes, maybe you land one client, but once they figure out that you don't know what you're doing, they're certainly not going to hire you for another project, and they're absolutely not going to refer you to their friends.
Yeah. And word of mouth is super powerful. We all know.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is, because most business owners have other business owner friends that they are happy to share your information with if you are a good copywriter.
Yeah. And it's baffling in some ways to me because, you know, I'm a very dive right in type of person if I'm doing it for myself. So say I'm learning how to make candles. That's okay if I screw up time and time again for my own consumption, that, you know, maybe the wick is not right and it doesn't actually become a candle. I don't know candle making, but
I think that's pretty clear. Yes.
Maybe, you know, I don't get the wax right and it doesn't burn and it smokes. I don't know. And that's fine if I'm doing that for my own hobby and interest. I'm fine diving right in and experimenting. But when I'm selling something, and if anyone's selling anything, you have to know what you're doing in order to sell it. It's just like you wouldn't hop in a plane and say, I'm a pilot now, and go. Yes, that's more dramatic, and there are higher consequences for sure with some careers than others. But there is that consequence of, you know, word getting around that you're not able to deliver on what you say it is that you can deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and even just, every kind of career requires that you know what you're doing. I mean,
Yeah.
I like to go to Target. I think many people like to go to Target. But just because I like to go to Target doesn't mean I could go in there and immediately start working there. I don't know what their stocking systems are. I don't know what their point of sale systems are. I don't know how their inventory works. There are huge elements to it that just because I like it a lot, I couldn't do it professionally because I don't know how to do it. I haven't received the training. So it's any career is like that.
Yeah. It's the difference between the difference between a hobby, I think, and a career. What is the difference?
Yeah.
One thing you like doing, the other thing maybe hopefully like doing too, but you are extra skilled in it, and you are not doing it for fun at that point.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're an expert.
fun might be an element of it, but
yeah, and you're providing a valuable service, and yeah, absolutely, people will pay you when you're providing a valuable service.
Yeah.
The second part that, if people have learned and have studied, and the second part when people will say, oh, it's hard to get into, is that if it's their own experience, is that they I learned it, but I just couldn't find any clients. Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a system for how to find and pitch and land clients and then keep getting work from those clients, keep those clients happy and keep pitching work to them, then yeah, it's absolutely going to be hard to find clients. It would be a wonderful world if you could put up a website, change your LinkedIn profile and say, okay, now I'm a copywriter, come to me with all your copywriting projects. That would be fantastic. And that is absolutely not the way it works, sadly. You need to have an actual plan and a system, a proven and replicable system, a rinse and repeat system that you can do again and again that will bring in clients. And I know that sometimes creative people especially hear systems and they go, oh, but there's plenty of room for creativity within the system. But what it is it means that there's steps that you take, and you take these steps again and again, and these steps bring in clients to you. There's plenty of room for serendipity, plenty of room to, talking to someone in a grocery line and it turns out they need a copywriter. There's plenty of room for that, but you're not relying on serendipity. You're not relying on hoping that someone's going to refer you. You're not relying on magically some project is going to fall into your lap, because hoping and wishing is not a strategy. If you are relying on hoping and wishing, you're going to have a real hard time putting food on the table. So yeah, it is hard to, quote unquote, hard if one, you don't know what you're doing, or two, you don't know how to find and land clients. Then yeah, that does make it really difficult. Absolutely agreed.
And I think a lot of the people that say it's hard to get into have that mindset that it is very willy-nilly and you just have to hope with luck, which, with everything there's luck, but it's not just waiting for something to fall in your lap. And I think, family and friends, we love them, but sometimes they're some of the strongest naysayers because there's this fear that it's not going to work out, because they don't realize that there is a system to follow, that you can get into it in a structured way and not just, like you said, hope and wish. But these are the same folks. You're then, if you hear that and you hear, oh, it's hard to get into, maybe I shouldn't pursue copywriting, or maybe I shouldn't even look into it. You're taking advice from folks who often have never done it or have gone about it in the wrong way. And so how can you take advice from family and friends? They're very well-meaning and they have your best interests at heart, but they don't know what it means to be a copywriter. And so the fact that they have an opinion on it is just that. It's an opinion. It's not the actual fact of how you get into this career being easy or hard. There's a way to do it.
Yeah. What I will always say, and I can't remember where I picked this up, but you want to take advice from people who are successful at what you want to do. As much as our friends love us and our parents love us, or our spouses or significant others love us, if they're not successful professional copywriters, they're not the people you should be taking advice from. The same way that you don't take marriage advice from your perpetually single friend. You don't take You don't take workout advice from your brother's roommate who sits on the sofa all day eating Cheetos. You don't take advice from your Uncle Phil. You don't take business building advice from your Uncle Phil, who's only ever had failed businesses. I actually just had to go grab this screenshot that I took from the group yesterday because I loved it so much, from our student-only Facebook group. Adele wrote, so my partner went from saying 2 months ago, let me know when this copywriting class turns out to be a scam, to surprising me with a new laptop and headset today because he was proud of me and all of the progress. I nearly bawled like a baby. That's the thing, is that sometimes, even with the people who love us, they're not going to believe it until they see it. For some reason, there's this idea of copywriting as, and maybe it's because we have all thought that for so long that you can't make a good living as a copywriter, and on top of that, the idea that you can have a career that is entirely remote, although an entire world discovered that that's very possible in 2020. But it's I think because it's something new, a lot of people have a really hard time grasping that it's something real. And especially the people who love us, but also the people who maybe don't love us, but just have really strong opinions, will have a really hard time having faith in something that they don't know. So you have to be very careful about taking advice from people who maybe they love us, but they don't know what they're talking about,
And it's usually one person too, that, an opinion of one where it feels very, it's a strong opinion and it feels, oh, it's hard. And so suddenly you kind of internalize that and think, this person said it's hard. And so do I want to put the time and energy and financial, whatever cost into doing it, which are all great questions, but it's also one person who hasn't done it versus, if you talk to 10, 20, however many copywriters you can talk with, which I realize that's a hard group to kind of tap into. But if you go to filthyrichwriter.com/testimonials, you can see the students that have gone through the course. And so those are all now working copywriters and kind of can take advice from that group of folks where, is it a cakewalk? No, but
what career is, what career
right,
that actually pays well,
right.
is super. You just get to put up a website and excuse me, and sit at home and go, oh, all right, here comes all my money. It's just
we would all do that. Yeah.
Believe me, this is not a get rich quick thing. This is not a scheme. This is not MLM. This is not, sit at home in your pajamas and make $1 million. And that's not at all what this is. This is a real career. There are students who are building successful careers, and there are people working as copywriters, including our students, but also outside of our students, working as copywriters every single day, freelance at internal agencies, at ad agencies and marketing agencies. It's a real career. But I think partially because not many people have heard of copywriting, when they hear that, it's possible to make a good living as a writer, and it's even possible to do that working from home as a freelancer, I think people go, oh no, that's not real. That can't possibly be real. That's a scam. And we can tell you, our students can tell you, and however many thousands of copywriters are working in this world, which, by the way, there's still not enough skilled copywriters out there. There's way more demand for skilled copywriters than there are skilled copywriters to fill that demand. But we can all tell you that, this is a real career, and it is possible to make an excellent living at it, and to enjoy what you do and feel fulfilled and to be respected for what you do. And I think a lot of people who grew up thinking, oh, I can't make any money as a writer, as we've talked about in past episodes, I think it can be a real revelation, and maybe on the other side of that be a little bit scary because it is so different from what they've heard before. But once you get into it, you start to see how much possibility there is. And honestly, sometimes it's a matter of just doing it and proving your loved ones wrong.
Yeah. We're not flukes.
Exactly. It's not a fluke. It's a real career. it's just as real of a career. You know, copywriters, graphic designers. Nobody goes, graphic design, that's impossible. No one can get into graphic design, you know, but for some reason, because copywriting is less well known than graphic design, there's this idea that, oh, it's impossible. But copywriters have been around for a very long time, and it's a growing career, as we were talking about on another call as well. F. Scott Fitzgerald was a copywriter. Kurt Vonnegut was a copywriter. Salman Rushdie was a copywriter. The guy who wrote Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was a copywriter.
Didn't know that.
I was going to ask if you did.
No, that's a fun tidbit.
I know, we'll have to do a whole post or something with all the various copywriters that you didn't actually know were even copywriters.
No.
But it's a real career. So the challenge sometimes is to hear those naysayers or hear those people who have opinions, and just stay focused and to say, all right, you know, thank you for your opinion, but to only take advice, and it doesn't have to be Kate and I by any means, but to only take advice from people who have been successful at what you want to do. So not even people who have not been successful. Don't take advice from them because they don't know how to do it either. If they knew how to do it, they'd be doing it. Take advice, and not just for copywriting, for anything that you're doing. Take advice from people who've been successful at what you want to do, and gently let all the other advice, because there's always advice coming in. Opinions are, actually, I can't say the real quote because we try to keep this PG, but opinions are like nether region anatomy elements. Everybody's got one, and most of them stink. And that's kind of true. There are a lot of people who get a lot of mileage out of giving you their opinion. And you just have to learn to set that aside and stay focused on your goals and on you and what you know is possible.
Yeah. And so like with anything, I mean, there's really two steps, right? There's get the training you need to become skilled and to build your knowledge. That goes for copywriting and really anything that you plan to sell. And then the second thing is getting that experience. And how do you do that as a copywriter when you have no experience? How do you break through that catch-22 of wanting to be hired by someone, but not having anything that can kind of show what you can do? And that's where creating your portfolio comes in, and creating spec pieces that you demonstrate. I know how to write copy. I know how to write in different mediums, different voices. And that's how you then kind of get your first clients and get the ball rolling until it snowballs. There really is that snowball effect of, okay, I got my first client, and then, oh my gosh, now I have 5. How do I manage my time? I had one student, actually, that was
in the student journey, because you can go back and see the posts in the Facebook group, and not all of our students post in the Facebook group. Don't feel that you have to, but a lot of them do, because it's a really great group and very supportive. But yeah, you see I'm nervous about getting started. Here I'm doing my practice work, because we share the practice, the action sheets that we do, and we practice in the group and give each other feedback. Yay, I landed my first client. A couple of weeks later, oh my gosh, I landed my second client. And then a couple of weeks later, it's, oh my God, I have so many clients, I don't know,
Well, and then there's that moment that they disappear from the group. And there's one, Carissa, which I hope she watches this. I was genuinely asking Nicki one day, what happened to Carissa? I want to know. I know she was applying for jobs, and where is she? Yeah. And months later, she came back to the group to post about a full-time job she landed. And I was, for my own sake, so happy that I had closure on what happened, because we had invested in these journeys that you see kind of the progress. But so thrilled for her above and beyond anything else. I think her goal was to kind of have a change the year, and in 2020 to do that especially is just like mind-blowing and wonderful, and makes me so happy.
Yeah, exactly. Not to get totally off topic, but we really have seen some amazing transformations that would be amazing in any year. But on top of the fact that it is in the middle of the pandemic and, a recession, maybe we're in one, maybe we're not. I feel like that's a little confusing right now, but our clients, our students are still finding clients, landing clients, completely supplementing their entire previous career income as copywriters, and being able to transition into it even within this this crazy world and this crazy economy, because even in this crazy world and this crazy economy, people still need copywriters. And I'm sure, to take it back to topic, I'm sure this would be a great time for people who are skeptical, or people who are want the best for us, or want us to be extra safe, to say something like, well, nobody's making any money in 2020, and you don't want to transition careers in 2020. And that's absolutely not true. Yes, there are absolutely some industries that are having a hard time, and I feel for them, and some people that are having a very hard time, and I feel for them as well. But it's not true that it's a bad time to become a copywriter. In fact, I would say it's actually a very good time to become a copywriter.
I've had my best year with clients, and that was in July, that I knew I would outmake anything I've made the past 5 years were great. And this just year happens to be even better. And I am hesitant to say that, given the situation, and I have friends who have lost jobs, and I feel very, very lucky to be doing what I'm doing. But I do say that as a proof point, because I think, people say, well, you can say that, but where's the proof? And I get that. So I say that with being very grateful to the clients I've been able to work with, and the fact that our job has kind of survived this really just difficult time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I'm thrilled for all of our other students too, have, proven that it's hard to get into, maybe, but is it? Not if you do the training, and not if you get the experience, and, they're doing it in a time where it seems hard to do anything. Never mind changing careers or bringing on a side hustle or doing it part-time. And they did it without going to portfolio school, or, there's no real colleges.
$3,000 a year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We've talked about there being no real degree in copywriting, but, there are portfolio schools, and that is an option, but you don't need to dump, like, to your point, thousands and thousands of dollars on that. There's other ways to do it. So
yeah. Excellent. So we'll wrap up this episode. I hope you've gotten very clear on exactly why some people say it's hard to get into, and why there's certain people that you should be listening to, and other people who you can thank for their opinion and maybe just let that go. So we will see you again in our next episode. We have a lot more to come, and all kinds of important topics to cover for new and aspiring copywriters. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you don't miss any tips, tools, or tactics for copywriters by clicking subscribe right now. And of course, you can always find us over at filthyricwriter.com. We'll see you next time.